Hey guys, it's Tim, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited, as we're here with yet another Wednesday show, the PWUnlimited podcast, episode 55. I see some people are asking about Tribute to the Troops in the chat. It will air tomorrow night on the WWE Network. It was filmed a week ago from yesterday, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about a bunch of things that happened this week. We're here to talk about the fresh start within the WWE. What can be next for Paige now that she's been relieved as the general manager of SmackDown Live? Talk about 205 Live guys moving brands, coming possibly to Raw or SmackDown if they want to do it with anybody else, who I think they should move, and the Elite, and whatever else you guys want to talk about. Taking it solo tonight. Nick had to work again, unfortunately. It's all good though. If you guys do want to call into the show, number is on the screen, 559-475-8473. Again, that's 559-475-8473. You guys can call in, ask your questions, give your opinions on anything going on in the world of professional wrestling. So first off, let's talk about, we've talked about it the last 2 days here on the Raw and the SmackDown reviews, but let's talk about this fresh start and what it could really mean. Excuse me. So Vince came out on Monday and he brought out Stephanie, who brought out Triple H, who brought out Shane. They said the four of them together, the McMahons, are going to do what they're calling a fresh start of the WWE. They're taking back control of the company, which it's like, weren't you guys always in control? I didn't understand any of that. But it's like, okay, so you're taking over your company. You're taking control back. Okay, that's all well and good, but what's this really mean? And Triple H said a couple things. He said, A, new faces. B, faces in new places. C, new matchups, possible that you've never seen before. And they're going to listen to the fans more. The fans are now the authority. With that, we do know that, according to Shane, on Monday, no longer will you be getting your just comeuppance. You're getting your, you lost your title, so you automatically get a rematch? No. That's not going to happen anymore. You have to earn your rematch if you lose your championship, apparently. And he made the AOP try to earn their rematch, and they lost. We also know that they're moving guys from all kinds of brands. They got 6 people coming up from NXT. They've moved Mustafa Ali from 205 Live. I don't know if he's still going to wrestle on 205 Live or not. I would assume it's easy for him if they want it to be, since he's only moved to SmackDown and he's going to be already there anyways when they do the 205 Live tapings. So I don't know if he's going to do both brands, but as of right now, he is 100% officially full-time on SmackDown. So he's going to be SmackDown. That's his main purpose, main goal, mainstay, and then we'll go from there. Other things we do know is they want to shake things up, and maybe, like I said, going into the Royal Rumble, we see more guys moved over from Raw to SmackDown, from SmackDown to Raw, and then whoever wins the Rumble can move over as well. Maybe you can say, okay, somebody wins. I don't think this is going to happen, but say The Miz. No. Let's not go that route. Let's say, off the top of my head, somebody from Finn Balor. Say Finn wins the Royal Rumble. I don't think it's going to happen, but say Finn wins the Rumble. Then he says, I want to challenge Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. That's a way you can move him over to SmackDown. So, it was like what they did with Asuka last year. They moved her from Raw to SmackDown when she wanted to face Charlotte. So, it's one thing they can do. Other things they can do is just, moving more people from SmackDown to Raw, from NXT up. And I think, honestly, there's some guys that would benefit from going over. I'm not going to call it down. I'm going to call it over to NXT. Guys like a Tyler Breeze, guys like an Apollo Crews, guys like a Ty Dillinger, a Zack Ryder could benefit from going over to NXT for a little while, getting their, star back up, if you want to call it that. Kind of like Tyson Kidd did when he came off of the injury. He went to NXT, became a big star there, brought him to the main roster, and boom, he was good. He was golden. But, I think that's one thing they can do. Other things they can maybe do with this fresh start is just give us new matches. Moving guys from SmackDown to Raw, Raw to SmackDown, and having them face people they've never faced before. At least not faced before in the WWE. That's one thing they need to do, is give us stuff that we've never seen as far as matches. Now, I don't want to see, oh, we're going to give you something new. Well, what's that new? It's Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins, but this time it's an ambulance match. That's a new, fresh matchup. No, we've seen Seth versus Brock at least twice, I think. So it's like doing things like that is not fresh, but doing things like saying, oh, whoa, we've got Johnny Gargano coming up from NXT, and we're going to have him face Mustafa Ali on the main roster, and then he's going to go and have a match with AJ Styles. Like, those are some new, fresh things they can do because they haven't been done yet before within the WWE. Now, we know, like, you could say, oh, Johnny Gargano versus Daniel Bryan. That's new. Yes, we've seen it on the indies before, but it's new to the WWE audience. If you go watch Colt Cabana's Wrestling Road Diaries 1, in that documentary DVD, we do see Gargano versus Bryan Danielson. So, I mean, you can say, oh, they've done this stuff already, but not in the WWE. And probably more than 3/4 of the WWE audience might not have seen any of that. So, just looking at the chat here now, last time they did that, it was harder for mid-card title to get over. I don't know what you're talking about there. I mean, you're saying Shinsuke will get his U.S. title back. I'm not giving no spoilers, but something big you probably already know happens next week on SmackDown. Brian Medina says, what about John Cena in NXT or Big Show? John Cena is not going to go to NXT, and not because he's quote-unquote too big of a star. John Cena is just not going to go to NXT because he ain't got the time. Now, never mind. I can't say that. Because actually NXT would be beneficial for him because he would have to only come in for one day and possibly be on 4 shows, 3-4 shows. So, but I just don't think they want John Cena down there. Maybe for like a one-shot appearance. But that's far gone now. NXT is its own thing. They don't need to get the quote-unquote John Cena rub. So, I'm just looking back at the chat. Oscar Strange Rodriguez says Ali versus AJ would be awesome. That would be awesome, actually. Very, very awesome. Thanos Troll says just end the brand split. That's not going to happen. And here's one big reason why. Fox told WWE that they don't want to have to promote the USA Network. They want to do that as little as possible. They don't want to have to say, hey, go watch this competitor channel, this rival channel on Monday instead of coming and watching whatever we have on Fox on Monday. Yeah, if there's something big, like a big title match or a big return or something that's going to happen on Raw, then you can promote it because it could be beneficial to SmackDown as well. Like if this past week when you said Vince is coming to shake things up, well, that could have been beneficial to SmackDown, which it was. But when they just want to advertise a Dolph Ziggler versus Finn Balor match, no, you don't got to advertise that on SmackDown. You don't have to say, hey, you're watching Fox right now, but go watch USA Network on Monday instead of coming back and watching whatever we have on Fox on Monday. They don't want to do that. They want to only promote their guys that are on their show, which is SmackDown, on Fridays on Fox. So, I mean, as of right now, for all we know, we're keeping that brand split. Slab Home Wrestling says, will NXT air on Fox? As of right now, that's not in the cards. That's not talked about. All we do know right now is that they want Fox to have SmackDown on Fridays. Other than that, let's see, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. There's still 7-8 months until this move happens. So it's going to be a very, very long time for that. But let's take our first call. Calling on the air. What's going on?
Hey, man. Huge fan of the show. Just want to thank you for taking my call and everything you do. You work really hard and just want to show my appreciation. So with this whole new era, which I feel like we've heard 8.5 million times, you know, with the Rumble coming up, who would you see, you know, winning that and head into the road to WrestleMania? Like, who would you personally want to see win the Rumble?
I think one person that could benefit from winning the Rumble would be Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins would benefit because right now he's kind of been a little lackluster over the last couple of months. I'm not saying that it was all because of the Dean Ambrose stuff, but even a little before that, he just kind of seemed a little stale. So I think you can have him win the Royal Rumble, give him that rub for 2 or 3 months of, hey, this guy's going to WrestleMania to challenge for the championship. He's not, he's a big deal. We have to think of him as a big deal, not just this guy that, oh, hey, here's another mid-card guy that, oh, he just happened to have the Intercontinental Championship. But now, if you have Seth Rollins go out there, win the Rumble, say he challenges Brock, then we can see how good he really is on the mic when he does those promos back and forth with Paul Heyman, when he has those dust-ups leading up to WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar. I think that's who should win it for the men, not just because that's the rumored match, but even before we heard that, I was saying that Seth could benefit from winning the Rumble next year or this coming year.
Definitely. I 100% agree. And so my second question was going to be, if I think I saw a video of yours where you said that there was a rumor that The Rock was going to come back and win it. How would you see the fans reacting to that? Because that could go a couple different ways. You might have a Batista 2014 incident again, or the fans could be so shocked and surprised to see The Rock back in that kind of role, they might just take to him. So what do you think, how that might go?
Now, the thing with the Rock rumor, it was basically there was a rumor going around that they wanted to somehow get to Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania.
Right.
And the easiest way to do that, if Roman was still the champion, was just to have The Rock surprise everybody and show up at the Rumble, win the Rumble, and then challenge his cousin. And then their thinking would have been Roman beats The Rock. That legitimizes Roman as such a huge star. The fans have to like him after that. That's what the rumor and it was a little more than a rumor because it was actually pitched backstage. Whether it actually got anywhere to where they contacted The Rock and talked to him, nobody really knows. But it was something that they were considering before Roman did have to eventually take some time away.
Gotcha. So that would have been 5 straight main events for Roman Reigns.
Oh, yeah. If it was The Rock, yeah, I would have gone in the main event. But if Roman was going to face somebody else, there was still a chance that Ronda, which it still is, that Ronda would main event over Roman. That's something they've talked about since this last WrestleMania, Ronda being the final match of WrestleMania 35.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for your answer. I think last question is, so who do you see on the women's side? Personally, I think it should be Becky, and she should eliminate Nia Jax last, just to really put the nail that, you broke my face. Now I eliminated from the Rumble. I'm the fucking man. I'm ready to go face Ronda.
I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that. That's what I think. I mean, like I said, with Seth winning, he needs the rub. But with Becky, she's just so popular. Anybody else winning, it's going to be when Roman won all over again, when they wanted Daniel Bryan to win. If anybody else wins that Women's Royal Rumble, they're going to crap on it. They're going to boo whoever it is. No matter who it is, whether it's Charlotte, whether it's Naomi, whether it's Natalya. If it's not Becky, we're getting another Roman Reigns in Philadelphia?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
All right, man. Thank you for taking the time to take my call.
Not a problem.
Rest of the stream. I'm going to keep watching. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the call. Have a great night.
Thank you.
So with the Royal Rumble, I like those questions of who do you think should win, but why? Not just, these are be cool matches, but why? And I think, like I said with Becky, if Becky doesn't win, the fans are going to revolt. The fans, if it comes down to Becky and Nia, and for some reason Nia throws out Becky, holy hell, are these fans going to just go bananas? But in the other spectrum of it, with the men's Royal Rumble, you can do that as somebody needs the rub. Who can go in there and take that rub and have a legitimate match at WrestleMania? Now, I know you're going to give me a bunch of examples like Finn Balor or Dolph Ziggler or somebody that's a fan favorite right now and say, well, they can use the rub. What about Drew McIntyre? But it's the fact of Seth Rollins could be the guy to be in that Roman Reigns spot where they want him to be the face of the company. They want him to be the PR guy, going out and doing all the appearances and this and that. Seth is somebody that can do that. I don't know how well, at least right now, somebody like a Finn Balor or a Drew McIntyre can do that. You need somebody that's more established within the WWE brand. Yeah, okay, Finn's been around for a while. That's okay. McIntyre kind of been around for a while. But some people still are they're still getting used to Drew McIntyre. And plus, you want that baby face to take Roman's spot. So depending on how long they think Roman's going to be out, you need to put somebody new in that spot. Why not have somebody new, like a Seth, win the Rumble, go on, face Brock, challenge Brock, beat Brock, boom, there's your new champion, there's your new face alongside Ronda Rousey. Dodie King says, do you think Lashley will get a title soon? Probably not. Thanos Troll says, but doesn't a babyface always win the Rumble? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, when Randy Orton won the Rumble, I don't think... I mean, he was he was a tweener doing the whole Bray Wyatt stuff. But as far as... Let me see. I'm going to pull up the list here of the last Royal Rumble winners. And we'll see. I mean, most of the time, it's a babyface that wins it, yes. But, list of every Royal Rumble winner. Here we go. So, let's see. We've got Triple H. When he won the Rumble, he was a heel when the title was on the line. When Sheamus won the Rumble, he was a heel when Sheamus won. Del Rio won it as a heel. Going back. Brock Lesnar, when he won the Rumble, he was technically a heel. 99% of the time, you're going to get a babyface winning it. But you can't have heels winning like we've seen in the past. Ric Flair. Mr. McMahon. Looking through here, like I said, Ric Flair, Mr. McMahon, Alberto Del Rio, Sheamus, Triple H. So we have had heels win the Rumble previously. Dottie King says, what brand do you believe EC3 will land on? I think you should go to Raw. I think you should put EC3 over there on a Monday Night Raw. I think that would be a very good spot for him. And then maybe put Lars on SmackDown just to change things up there. Get another big guy over on SmackDown. Excuse me. Looking here at the chat a little more before we move on to our next topic. Hey, anything on Austin Aries? Because I haven't heard nothing. I haven't heard anything about Austin Aries since, what was it, Slammiversary? I haven't heard a word on anything Austin Aries could be doing. And that's not really concerning per se. But it's just like, hey, he wanted to go out there, shock the world for a little while, be the belt collector, I guess you can say, and then take some time off. Also looking here at the chat. Says for Chris McNutt with $5 super chat donation. I think Paige should be backstage producer. I'll tell you why. We don't need any more female commentators, and I don't think any managers on SmackDown. Now, here's the thing. That's actually going to be my next topic, so thank you for that one, Kristen. Good transition here. Give me 1 second, guys. I have to fix something. For some reason, it says we're live twice. Why is it saying we have 2 streams live? I have no clue. This is weird. Anyways. So with the whole Paige thing, they said on SmackDown that Paige is actually no longer the general manager. Paige is not going to be in the general manager role, but she will be, what's it called? Given another role, Shane said. Shane said that she will somehow be used on SmackDown, whether that's in a commentary role, whether that's in a managerial position, and I don't think they're going to put her in a backstage role. I don't think they should put her in a backstage role or a trainer role or something along those lines, because her whole thing is she may want out of the WWE. She can't wrestle, so she may want out, right? But if they give her just a backstage role, and then they say, "Oh, hey, well, here you go. You're a producer now," she can go, "No. I'm signed to a contract agreement to be, what's it called, on air talent." So could she go on there and say, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm supposed to be an on-air talent. That's what my contract says. Either give me an on-air talent position or I'm leaving. I don't know if that's legal for her to do. Possibly, since she's signing to a talent contract. But, I mean, yeah, there's 2 streams going. I don't know what happened. I don't want to cut this stream and then mess everything up. So, it's airing the same thing. I don't know what's going on, but, yeah. Excuse me. Anyways, going forward, give her a TV role like Mr. Jones is me says. Maybe put her on commentary. Get rid of Byron Saxton. Have her be a commentator over there on SmackDown and see where she can go from there. Maybe put her back. No, I'm thinking maybe put her back with Absolution as their manager, but that would just be a nothing role for Paige. I think what they should do, or what they need to do, is at least keep her around till that movie's done, or that movie comes out. Because they want people to see the trailers and hear about Paige and her movie and then go, wait, that's that girl on SmackDown. I need to go watch SmackDown. So, Thanos Troll says, so can Paige ever wrestle ever again? And not in the WWE. She's been advised to never wrestle again. WWE, WWE will not ever clear her again. It's the same thing that happened with Edge. Edge was not cleared ever again either. He's on the blacklist. And whatever she does once she leaves the WWE, that's on her. But WWE, because of what doctors have said, now I know what people are going to say. What about Daniel Bryan? Daniel Bryan got cleared after 2 years. Daniel Bryan got reevaluated. Completely different situation. Bryan's stuff was all head-related, all head trauma, concussions. Hers is her spine. She's got a very, very bad case of spinal stenosis. And honestly, Sheamus shouldn't be wrestling either. He's got spinal stenosis, and some people backstage even say that it's a freaking miracle that Sheamus is still wrestling at high of a level that he is, as well as he is. Sam Hub Wrestling says, why is there a 90-day no-compete clause once a WWE superstar is released? Simple. WWE does their 90-day no-compete, so somebody can't get released from the WWE and then go straight over to like an Impact or a Ring of Honor and have that big momentum coming off of WWE. Their thinking is you give them the 90-day no-compete, then in 90 days people may forget about them, and then when they go to a Ring of Honor or an Impact Wrestling, it's not such a big, I guess you could say, move, not such a big get for that company. But when you're under your 90-day no-compete, WWE is still paying you. Because you're not allowed to work, WWE still legally has to pay you, since they're contractually not allowing you, legally not allowing you. So that's what the 90-day is. Chris Manette says the movie has Paige and Zelina Vega. Correct. Zelina Vega plays AJ Lee, and I'm still mad about that. Not because it's Zelina playing AJ, but because of the frickin' gear Zelina is wearing in that movie. She's not wearing Paige gear. I don't know why. She's wearing old school Zelina Vega gear or well, I don't know why they didn't just give her an old Paige shirt and some ripped jeans, some ripped shorts. It's not like it's hard to get into Paige costume. But back to Paige really fast. And I meant AJ costume. Back to Paige really fast, though. It's just the fact of they got to find an on-screen role for her. Commentary, pre-show panel, a manager. It's really the 3 things you got. I mean, you got nothing else unless you make her give her a backstage role or have her training at the Performance Center. I remember, I think it was when Eva Marie was first coming up. They had Paige working with her at the PC helping train her. So, we'll see. Paige is on a slippery slope right now. Not anything she did wrong. She's not in trouble. They don't dislike her. They love Paige. They think that she's been one of the better general managers in many years. So, I don't know, but let's take a call. See what this caller has to say. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Tim, what's going on?
Not much. What's up?
Pretty good. I want to know how come they did the double tapings and not they just did tape Raw and SmackDown on Friday and Saturday?
Because the thing is, it's easier for them to do the tapings 2 in a row like they did since everybody's already there.
Yeah.
They've got everything set up. They know what they're going to do. Doesn't give Vince any time to change his mind. Plus, the reason they had to do more tapings, they have to do tapings again later this week for the New Year's Eve and the New Year's Day shows because they're not going to, those are presumably supposed to be taped shows as well, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So the next 2 weeks are going to be taped shows.
Yeah, and I'm going to the tape show on the 28th. But you know, another thing, do you think Mustafa Ali is going to have a successful run on SmackDown? And who do you think his first big feud and matches should be against?
I think he will be successful as far as they'll allow him to be successful. I mean, we saw just this Tuesday he pinned the WWE champion with his finisher. Yes, he botched it a little bit, but they're not against that move because, spoiler alert, later in the night he did that move again for the victory. So, but I think if he's not going to feud with Daniel Bryan, like maybe I can really, after this pin on Daniel Bryan on Tuesday, I could see him going and getting the title shot at the Royal Rumble, losing, not winning the title, of course not, but losing, and then going into another feud after that. Maybe he can feud with Andrade Cien Almas. Maybe he can feud with Nakamura. Maybe he can challenge Rusev for the U.S. title. There's a lot. Spoiler, sorry about that. There's a lot that is going to be interesting because he's kind of like, depending on how many other guys they move up from 205 Live or when they move other guys from 205 Live, he's that beta test, technically. He's that, let's see how this guy that was formerly only a cruiserweight does on SmackDown, and then we'll judge from there if we move other guys over. I think that's one thing they could be thinking.
Yeah. And the last thing,
one last thing about Mustafa Ali before you get into your last question is Mustafa Ali is probably a better worker than 60-70% of the guys on that they have anyways. He's one of like the more reliable guys that can go out there and you always know his match is going to be 3.5, 4 stars, if not above, depending on his opponent. You can have bad matches if you don't have the right opponent, though, no matter who you are.
Yeah. And my final question is, do you think Lacey Evans is going to Raw or SmackDown? I think Raw, but...
Excuse me.
You know.
That's a tough one. I've kind of said since Monday that I don't even think she should come up yet. She's kind of not ready, but they're bringing her up. That's the thing. And I almost want to agree with you and say Raw, but I just feel like I don't know. I feel like the Raw women kind of just get jumbled all together as one cluster. At least the SmackDown women get room to show themselves individually, if that makes sense. Because usually when you see SmackDown, there's a lot of singles matches with the women or tag team matches that came because of something that happened with this singles feud and this singles feud or whatever. But when you watch SmackDown, it's just a lot of random tag team matches, random battle royals, random gauntlet, random just, oh, we have all these women on Raw, let's try and throw them into one thing. Well, SmackDown, they try to give the women, yes, on Raw, you can say, well, more women get on the show every week. But with SmackDown, you may not get every woman every week, but when they do have a woman on there, she's spotlighted, and I like that better. She's individually spotlighted. But I can see with her size and her look and everything, I can see them saying, oh, that girl needs to be on Raw. More people need to see her.
Well, I mean, presumably I was thinking Nikki Cross will, probably most likely be going to SmackDown, so because they try to split them.
Also,
but, you know,
right. Also, if they keep Charlotte on SmackDown and don't move her to Raw with this shakeup, you've got to keep her and Lacey Evans separated. Because when Lacey Evans first started in WWE, she got the Charlotte Flair comparisons. So I don't think, at least at first, they should be on the same roster.
Yeah. Well, all right, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call. Have a great night. Now, as far as the call-ups, we'll talk about the call-ups for a minute. You've got EC3, Heavy Machinery, Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, and Lars Sullivan. With Lars Sullivan, I think he should go to SmackDown for the sole fact that SmackDown needs another big man. EC3, I can see him doing well on Raw. Going up there in like the Elias Bobby Lashley range at first, and then getting elevated maybe to the IC title picture. I could see that working. Heavy Machinery, put him on Raw. They needed another viable tag team that can have some legitimacy behind them. SmackDown, we saw this week, they're building their tag team scene back up. Yeah, you can say the same thing on Raw. They gave 4 tag teams an opportunity, but they didn't make those 4 tag teams look good. They made 1 tag team look good. On SmackDown, you have the New Day, the Usos, the Bar. Okay, those are your staples on SmackDown. But then Gallows and Anderson stepped up this week. Yes, they got laid out, but they stepped up. And Sanity stepped up. So SmackDown, they're on the right path. They've had the better tag team division anyways. Excuse me. But as far as who else we got, so Heavy Machinery, I say go to Raw. Lacey Evans go to Raw. Nikki Cross, put her on SmackDown. Put her with Sanity maybe. And Lars, yeah, that's it. I don't think I'm missing anybody. So that's who I think where they should all go. I might be doing a more in-depth video on this, why, later on in the week. But that's what I think. Looking in the chat, Colby Duran says, hey, is it true Young Bucks turned down a WWE contract? That's the rumor. That they didn't turn down a formal contract because nothing legally can be offered. But there were feelers put out there saying, hey, WWE's interested. This is what they may be interested in. And they said, no, we've got other plans already. So there was no real reason. So there's no real reason for WWE to even offer an actual contract because they know they've got other plans. It's that AEW. Speaking of AEW, let's talk about who we think could be the first roster members of AEW. Now, we do know, of course, Cody and the Young Bucks will be going to AEW because, of course, they're the brains behind it, essentially. But we also know they've got Hangman coming with them. So there's 4 right there. But we learned also this week, SCU is leaving Ring of Honor and going to AEW, especially not only just because of what we saw on Being the Elite, but because of what Scorpio Sky did. I want to say it was after Final Battle Friday. So they were all doing their farewell speech in the ring. Cody was filming it. Matt and Nick were talking. And Scorpio Sky did the old Bret Hart WCW where he put his arm up and in the air he finger drew AEW. And then we go Monday and we see Being the Elite. All 3 members of SCU got the countdown clock that expires January 1st. So it looks like you've got, like I said, the Bucks, Cody, Hangman, Scorpio Sky, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels. We presume, now things can change, but we would assume Marty's going to come in around April once he's done with Ring of Honor. And then the wild card is Kenny Omega. Will Kenny Omega leave New Japan and go to AEW? Will Kenny Omega leave New Japan and maybe say, I don't want to go AEW. Let's go WWE. Right now, that is the wild card in Kenny Omega. Nobody knows what he's really going to do. And Kenny Omega has said recently he will not be doing any press for like the next 2 to 3 weeks because he knows that all the questions he's going to get, he can't answer right now. Personally and legally. He just can't answer right now. So he's not going to do any media leading up to the Tokyo Dome other than if they need him at an official New Japan Pro Wrestling press conference. So that's what I think is going to happen. You know, you've got those core guys coming in, but then who else can you bring in that's not signed somewhere else to an Impact, to a WWE, to a Ring of Honor, to a New Japan, to an MLW? Who can you bring in? And when you look at guys on the indie scene, you got to look at, like, I don't even know. This is a tough one. Who can they bring in? There's one name that I would have said that they should have signed would have been Bandito, which they wanted Bandito. According to Dave Meltzer, that they told Bandito they wanted to sign him, but because they haven't really, quote-unquote, started their company yet, they couldn't give a formal offer. And so Ring of Honor did and signed him. Same thing with Brody King. I feel like Brody King would have been somebody that they would have loved to have. But Ring of Honor signed him up too. So that Home Wrestling says Kota Ibushi. They can use Kota. Kota Ibushi does not want to be tied down to any one promotion, though. Just looking at the chat, Supernova Gaming says Pac would be good. Yes, but at the same time, I don't know if he's got an official contract with Dragon Gate, and if so, if Dragon Gate would allow him, if he is officially exclusively signed to them, where they have to allow and approve his other dates. I don't know if they would allow that. What about an Austin Aries? I don't know about that one. I've always heard the Austin Aries is hard to work with backstage. He's hard to deal with. He's got an ego. He's a good talent, but what do you want? Guys that are going to work well, guys that are going to listen, guys that are going to cooperate, guys that are going to do what they're told? Or do you just want, I don't care what he is like backstage, I need someone that's got good talent. So that's the thing. Pentagon is with Impact or Lucha Underground. Right now, Pentagon and Phoenix are still stuck with Lucha Underground. Unless Lucha Underground says that they're done, they're signed on till the end of a 5th season, which right now we don't know if they're doing a 5th season. Danny Eubanks, that's the other question. Where will AEW go? He's saying maybe Paramount Network. Maybe if they want to get back into wrestling, but we don't know if the former Spike TV wants to get back into wrestling. Excuse me, can't get rid of this cough. Take a drink for a second. Give me 1 second, guys. Look at the chat while I take a drink. Bert Gotti says Pillman Jr. I believe he signed with MLW, so that's not going to happen. Will Ospreay, he signed to New Japan. Jericho can do it, but Jericho's not going to get tied down. Jericho's just going to do what they ask him to do, but he's not going to sign no exclusive contract. Yes, Seth Baraktic is right. Pac does have a championship in Dragon Gate right now, but so does Kota Ibushi with New Japan, and he's not signed to New Japan. He's basically a freelancer. No. Thanos Troll says Ryback. No. That's not true, Travis Ray. Travis Ray says Jericho won't be in AEW unless they pay him 6 to 7 figures. That's not true, because Jericho loves working with the Bucks and Cody and all them. So, yeah, he'll take good money. But to work with them, I don't think he'll go that high. You know what I mean? Sammy Guevara is an amazing wrestler. They can get. That's true. That's another one. That's a good one. Sammy Guevara. Sammo Wrestling. Spike used to air Raw. Yes. And, fun fact if you guys didn't know, if it wasn't for Raw airing on the USA Network, we may not have the big boom we do have now with the UFC. Because the rumor is, when Raw was on Spike, not USA Network, when Raw was on Spike, Spike executives came to Vince McMahon and said, we know they're not another wrestling promotion, but they're similar to you guys. Would you be okay with us airing UFC on this network as well? Vince McMahon said go for it because he didn't see the UFC as a competition like he does now. And what they would do was they would air the Ultimate Fighter directly following Monday Night Raw on Spike. So you have all those wrestling fans watching Raw when Raw was doing good ratings. And then you have them, oh, wait, what's this? More fighting, more combat sports? Boom, let's watch this. And then the UFC and the Ultimate Fighter took off after that first season. Bada boom, there you go. A little fun fact. Travis Ray says, what about Chuck Taylor and Trent? I don't know who they're signed to. They might not be signed to anybody. They do work a lot with New Japan and Ring of Honor, but I don't know if they're exclusively signed to either company. Mr. Jones is me says, aren't Gallows and Anderson's contract expiring in like January? I heard they're more like fall when their contracts expire, actually. Rachel says, is Ryback coming back to WWE soon? Heck no. No. Colby Durant says, Bully Ray. Nope, he signed to Ring of Honor. He loves Ring of Honor, and he's not going to leave Ring of Honor. I mean, to be honest, no. He's Ring of Honor through and through. Does anybody know when Bayley's contract expires? No clue. But as far as the AEW thing goes, what's today's date? The 19th? They're teasing something big on January 1st. Hold on. I need to look at something really fast. I need to pull up a calendar. What day of the week is January 1st? I never thought to look at this. January 1st. Okay, it's a Tuesday. Never mind. I was thinking that January 1st was a Monday. Being the Elite comes out on Mondays, and it'll just be a little funny thing. Like, hey, it's January 1st. Da-da-da, you know. Flip is still signed with Ring of Honor for, I think, at least another year. So he can't. Morrison is under that Lucha Underground deal. I don't know what his contract status is with Impact, but he's similar to Pentagon and Phoenix, where he's stuck in with Lucha Underground, and they're not going to let him allow him to go anywhere else with TV that they're not going to approve. And they've approved Impact, but they haven't approved anywhere else. Shane Strickland. I heard WWE wants Shane Strickland. Also, Roman Reigns has to earn his rematch when he returns. Who knows? But let's take a call. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm sitting here listening to the podcast. It's been awesome so far.
Thank you. What's your question?
Well, I've got a couple, actually.
Okay.
One, have you heard anything about when Roman might be back? How's his recovery coming?
They're keeping that completely private. Nobody knows anything.
Well, I mean, I can certainly understand that, but what irritated me is what Dean said about him basically deserving what happened to him.
Well, I mean, that was just them trying to make Dean as big of a heel as possible. I mean, it wasn't the right thing to say. They said it. It happened.
Obviously it wasn't, because as a matter of fact, what irritated me so much about it is that's what took my grandmother's life back in '89.
I mean, my grandmother died of the same thing as well.
So that highly irritated me.
But
I mean, sure, I can understand storylines and stuff, but that still wasn't too cool, though.
No, I fully understand, and I didn't like that either. I thought that was the lowest of lows that they could have done.
And my other question is about my top favorite superstar at this point, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Okay.
And I was wondering, why did they make him turn heel?
They wanted to try something different with him. They felt like, to me, it felt like the crowd wasn't behind him the way they wanted him to be as a babyface. And that's not because the babyface thing. It was more of the way they were using him as a babyface just wasn't resonating with the crowd. If they would have used him better as a babyface, he could have got over as a babyface. But because they didn't use him well as a babyface, they felt that he wasn't working as a babyface. So they said, let's try him as a heel. They needed another heel on SmackDown anyway. SmackDown was kind of lacking on the bigger name heels. So I think that's one of the reasons they may have done it.
Okay, I can certainly understand that. One other thing about him, when did he officially get his start in wrestling anyway? I mean, I don't know that all that much about him.
I want to say early 2000s. I know back in like 2004 when Brock Lesnar was in New Japan, he was already a top guy there because he and Brock had matches over the championship. So it's early 2000s. I want to say like maybe 2000. He's been around for a very long time.
Yeah, I know. He's 38, 39 years old.
Right.
But and of course I already know that he's already lost the belt to Rusev thanks to the taping and everything.
Right.
But he'll be getting his title back in no time.
We'll see, but I want to say thank you for the call and have a great night.
All right, thank you.
With that, Shinsuke Nakamura did start with New Japan Pro Wrestling in 2002. 2002. And then, like I said, it was 2006 when Brock came in. My bad. Around 2005, 2006, when Brock Lesnar came in, Nakamura was a champion. He challenged Brock for the championship. So, there we go. Looking at the chat. Hey, do you think AEW will be doing a women's division? Of course. They did not have that big women's match at All In to not want to do a women's division. They would not be that far away of the times. They know, maybe not at first, they have to have a strong women's roster, but they know they will eventually need a strong women's roster, and they got Brandy. Brandy's going to want to wrestle. She's not going to want to just be the sidekick, side piece. So I think they will try and go get some talented women to bring into AEW as well. If they don't, shame on them. But I really, really, really think they will. Looking at the chat a little more. WWE killed Shinsuke Nakamura. Very, very true. Very true. I think RVD, he can't. I don't think RVD can't wrestle. RVD said something recently where, like, he thinks he can come back to WWE, but then he also said that he's on, like, some list where they won't clear him because he had too many concussions. So I don't know what's going on with RVD. Looking at the chat a little more before we take another call. Fox didn't want to keep the brand split. Would you rather them combine the brands again or no? I think it's fine how it is. I mean, if you have no brand split, that's just more guys you got to book, and you got to keep track of as far as, okay, what's this storyline and this storyline. As long as with the brand split, at least says what are our storylines on Raw, what are our storylines on SmackDown, not just what are all of our storylines, and then things get jumbled and muffled. Christian McNutt says, CM Punk go for AEW? Doubt it. Doubt it. He doesn't want to come back to wrestling. If he wanted to come back to wrestling, he would have already. Travis races Brandy's finishers to be that bionic gore she gave Lethal a final battle. Good one. Bird Guy says, do you think AEW will help WWE superstars get a pay raise so they won't leave? No. No. I highly doubt that. Especially if we hear that they're paying less than WWE already. Everything AEW right now is speculation. We don't know if they're going to be on TV, if they're going to be on a streaming service, who they want to sign, when they're going to start. Like, they can say January 1st, hey, AEW is a thing. Our first show is AEW all or nothing, double or nothing, but it ain't going to be for 6 months because we got to get all our logistics in a row. We don't know anything with AEW right now. Everything other than Cody, the Bucks, and Tony Khan are linked to this. That's it. It's obvious that Hangman's also going. It's obvious that SCU is also going with them, but that's not a confirmed thing. Nothing, honestly, is a confirmed thing yet. But we got to wait like 2.5, 3 more weeks to find something out, hopefully. Let's take another call. Calling on the air, what's going on?
Hey, Tim.
How's it going?
So my question is, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One, how do you feel? How are you liking the WWE fresh start?
Honestly, it's too soon to say anything. They did some cool new things this week where they used some guys they haven't in a while, but other than that, we can't say what it's going to be until January because nothing new is really going to start until January.
And 2, are they trying to make Seth Rollins out of a Roman Reigns going for the Universe Champion?
I don't think they're trying to make him Roman Reigns per se, but they could put him into that slot where they wanted Roman to be as far as their big top babyface. And they're not going to say, oh, this guy's the new Roman Reigns. They're never going to say anything like that. And they can't because Seth is completely different than Roman Reigns. There's similarities, but there's a lot of differences. I don't think they're ever going to eventually just go, this is our new Roman Reigns. He's going to main event every WrestleMania. He's going to this. No, that's not going to happen. But I do see him being somebody they can use as the face, their male face of the company. He's good with media relations. He's good with, fans. He's just good all around, just like Roman was. Looking at the chat, I saw a question here I want to go back to really fast. Slam Hub Wrestling says, is Stardom the reason New Japan doesn't do women's wrestling? And no. I've always been under the assumption of the reason they don't do women in New Japan is just because when New Japan started, there wasn't really women's wrestling in Japan. And they went on from there. It's just a tradition thing that for so many years they didn't have women wrestling, and for so many years they still haven't had women wrestling. So I don't know if I don't think you could say Stardom is the reason they don't, because that's not a real fact. It's just the fact that they're traditionalists, and New Japan was always men only. I know it's not a good thing to say, but that's everything I've ever been told. It says, how can you book Seth headline to Mania? Easy. You have him win the Rumble. Challenge Brock. There you go. Seth, Brock, WrestleMania. Whether that's the top match or the second, third from the top, there you go. Whether they want Ronda on top or Brock on top, we'll see. Let's take another call. Take a couple more calls before we close it out here. Callie on the air, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Man, I'm good. I was just listening to your podcast and everything.
Which question?
Shoot. Who do you think should be the winner of the Royal Rumble? I know you said it already, but I just want to hear from you this time.
I think the Women's Rumble should be won by Becky, because if Becky doesn't win it, the fans are just going to go crazy and boo whoever wins it. I think Seth should win the Men's Rumble, because we know that they like Seth. They want to push Seth as one of their top big baby faces now that Roman's gone. And I think he needs that rub of, hey, I just won the Royal Rumble. Now I'm going to be in one of the top matches at WrestleMania. Well, that's what I think, Seth and Becky.
Yeah, that's why. But then at first I thought Roman would have entered, but who knows if he'll return then.
Roman's not coming back in time for Rumble. Most likely not even in time for WrestleMania. Nobody knows what's going on with him. And nor should we know. That's a very, very private matter.
Yeah, that is right. Because there is a lot going on with him right now. So hopefully he gets better. But ain't no telling what could happen, though.
Exactly.
Because, they could be surprises.
Right, but even if he does already beat the leukemia, I don't think having him in the Rumble is anything good for anybody, because then the fans are going to think that the leukemia thing was all of a storyline to try and get the fans to like him. So even if somehow he's already beat it, which I don't think he could have. I mean, he could have, but I don't think. Rumble's way too soon.
Yeah, that's why they should just wait a little bit. But then if he could show up at the Royal Rumble and just be there instead of being in the match. And then if Seth do enter into the Royal Rumble, most likely he will, and wins, then Roman can congratulate him that night.
Maybe.
And then I'm going to know if Roman does return, is he going to come after Dean first? If he doesn't turn heel by then.
They do have that built-in storyline where Dean kept bringing it up, which would work. But like I said, we don't know when Roman's coming back, where Dean would be at that time, whether it's 8 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. We just don't know. I mean, Roman, there's a chance he doesn't ever come back. I don't want to say that, but there is that slight chance that he doesn't come back.
I give it like 3 or 4 months.
I mean,
right after
with leukemia, Roman's gone through this already once. They say second time is way harder, way more. Your symptoms, everything's worse, and so I don't rush it for sure. And secondly,
I'm not gonna.
What if he takes this time off, reevaluates everything, and says, maybe I don't want to be on the road full time anymore. Maybe I want to be more with my family. Maybe this, maybe that, and he doesn't want to come back full time. We don't know. His mindset could change from when he said, I'll be back better than ever, to when he's ready to come back. Hey, I'm not thinking the same way when I first left. We don't know anything going on.
Yeah, that is true. Because with all this cancer going on, it's just ain't no telling what's going to happen. But exactly. I'm just praying, hoping that he does come back. Like, maybe if not by WrestleMania or after, then most likely, hopefully, for SummerSlam, just in case.
I'm telling anybody that asked, don't get your hopes up 2019. There's a chance, but I think there's a better chance that it's longer off than that. Because this is not just he broke his collarbone, out 8 months. No, this is a who knows when he's going to return kind of thing. But I want to say thank you for the call and have a great night.
You too.
Yeah, with this Roman Reigns thing, it's not like, let's take Sami Zayn, for instance. He wasn't supposed to be back this soon. Sami Zayn wasn't supposed to be back till closer to WrestleMania. And they were like, okay, Sami, double shoulder surgery. You'll be out 9 months, and we'll go from there. But now, all of a sudden, Sami's getting cleared. Sami's going to come back soon, possibly Royal Rumble. With Roman, you can't say, oh, you got leukemia? That's a 9-month, 8-month recovery time. No, you never know. He can go through it and think everything's fine and then take a turn for the worse. I don't want to say that, knock on wood. But, I mean, yeah, like Noob and Co. says, we're all praying for Roman to return. One day, eventually. Don't rush it. Don't try to get him back sooner than he needs to be. And we'll go from there. Let's take one final call. If you do want to call in, be the final caller, 559-475-8473, 559-475-8473. Take this call here. Calling on the air, what's going on?
Howdy there. My name's Ray. I've been calling for about 15, 20 minutes, and I'm going to have to say that you're tougher to get to than the president. But other than that, I want to know, how come you're working solo when the other guy's not in?
He's got a retail job, and it's the holidays, so they're saying, hey, you got to work extra hours.
Oh, okay. Do you know when he's going to be in?
Honestly, it's hit or miss. He was supposed to be on with me tonight, and they asked him to work extra, and, I'm not going to ask him to not work extra and pass on the pay.
Okay, yeah, because I had a question, but I wanted to talk to him. So if I call tomorrow, do you think he's going to be in?
We won't be live again until Monday, after Raw.
If I call Monday, is he going to be in?
Couldn't say. It's Christmas Eve. I don't know what our schedule is going to be for Christmas or Christmas Eve.
Well, how about Tuesday if I call? You think he'll be in?
That's Christmas Day. Honestly, I don't know when he's going to be on again. But I want to say thank you for the call and have a great night.
You too, pal.
All right. So with that, Nick's got a fan that really wants to speak with him. But on that note, I want to say thank you guys for joining me here on episode 55 of the PW Unlimited podcast. I have been Tim. This is PW Unlimited right here on YouTube. You can also find us Facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD, on Twitter at PW Unlimited, on Instagram, and also go check out our friends over there at Fightful.com. Fightful Online, Fightful Wrestling, Fightful MMA, Fightful Boxing. If you like combat sports, you'll like Fightful, because here on PW Unlimited, we only give you wrestling, but they give you wrestling, MMA, and boxing. So go check them out as well. Have a great night. See you again. Hopefully. Now, before I go, next week's holiday schedule, it's all up in the air right now. There's a good chance after Raw, which I should at least myself be going live. As far as Christmas Day goes, not sure. This podcast next Wednesday should be fine. So we'll play it by ear. I'll let you guys all know what the schedule is going to be for Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday should be same as always. So have a good day. Have a good night. See you next week.